Welcome to Tea and Teaching, the educational podcast you can listen to with a cup of tea. I'm Arthur Moore, and with me, it's Mike Harrowell. Hi, Mike.
Hello, Arthur. How are you?
Oh, I'm fantastic, buddy. More importantly, how are you, Mike?
I'm good. I'm tired. We've got a 3 week old in the house. Um, yeah, life's busy, but I'm extremely excited about our podcast and our conversation today.
Yeah, we are talking with Mary Palmer, who's the CEO of the Teaching Awards Trust, and we're talking with Ben Levinson, who is an award-winning head teacher and one of the judges at the National Teaching Awards. And we're going to be talking about the National Teaching Awards. We're going to talk about Thank a Teacher Day that's coming up, and we're going to talk about just celebrating and showcasing the awesome work teachers are doing every single day in our schools. Mike, really looking forward to this conversation. It's just nice to talk about how awesome teachers are. So go away, get a cup of tea, come back, and get ready for Tea and Teaching with the National Teaching Awards. Welcome back to Tea and Teaching. We are lucky enough to be joined today by Mary and Ben, and we're going to be talking about the National Teaching Awards. Mary and Ben, welcome to Tea and Teaching.
Hi, lovely to be
Hi,
here.
thanks for having us.
Our absolute pleasure. Should we get a quick kind of introduction if people don't know who you are or don't know kind of how you came to this great moment in your life to be on Tea and Teaching? Mary, kind of, do you want to give us a bit of a story about who you are?
Sure. So my name is Mary Palmer, and I'm CEO of the Teaching Awards Trust. We are an educational charity. We've been running for 25 years, and our mission is to celebrate and showcase the fantastic and life-changing work that takes place in education across the UK every day. And we do this through the annual Pearson National Teaching Awards, which are televised every year on the BBC, and through the Thank a Teacher campaign, which is celebrated every year with National Thank a Teacher Day.
Yeah, awesome. Absolutely love the Teaching Awards. It's such a awesome thing to be going on. And Ben, that's kind of how you are, like, that's where your journey comes in, right? Do you want to kind of tell us how you came to be part of that?
Yes, so we were the Kensington Primary School, where I was the head teacher, was the 2020 Primary School of the Year Gold Award winner. Yes, thank you. Which is just an amazing time. I mean, obviously, kind of within the pandemic as well. So there was all of that going on, and just a great moment for the school community. We're in Newham in East London, and our school's kind of round the back of East Ham Tube, so tucked away on this little one-way street in London, and just such wonderful recognition for that community, for all the team at the school. So yeah, that was great. And then subsequently, I got asked to be a judge. So I've done various categories. I was a judge on Primary Teacher of the Year last year, which was a real privilege. And I'm judging Unsung Hero this year. So, which is a great category. You know, it's all of those people who kind of, you know, they're the ones that make schools work, right? The people in the office and the caretakers and the middays, and you know, but who maybe don't get that recognition. So that's a lovely one to be able to be a judge for.
The people who make the school work every single day.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like we all know those people. Every teacher listening to this has now got a list of every person in their school who is the absolute unsung hero. So Mary, like we were kind of talking before we came on the pod of like just why these awards are kind of so important. So I was just wondering from your perspective, like you talk about celebrating and showcasing, like why is it important we do that for educators in this country?
So, I mean, I think we've just seen the Oscars, right? These are the Oscars of the education world, and I don't know if you know this interesting fact, but the awards were actually set up by Lord David Putnam, who came from the film industry, and he set them up 25 years ago because he was kind of tasked by the Labour government at the time, and he worked with all the parties and all the support of all the parties, all the teaching unions. It was like he went into the classrooms and the staff rooms to sort of see what morale was like. And it's fair to say it was pretty low, and it unfortunately can still be quite low. And it's just to create a moment where we celebrate and we raise the profile of the work that takes place. And importantly for us is that we take it outside of the sector as well. So for us, we're basically like the PR and marketing vehicle for the profession, and we have the opportunity to control the narrative and take control of the narrative and tell the stories and exemplify what a difference educators make, and the complexities of the role and the care that goes into it. There's such great stories to tell. I sort of keep saying storytelling because through the stories that we get onto the BBC and the videos they make and the stories we get into the media, we're sharing amazing work. And it's so important because every sector has awards, and why shouldn't the education world have them? And yeah, so I just think it's really important. Teachers can be, and all those unsung heroes in schools can be really modest. It's a very rewarding job, but we as a society need to recognize that. We need to respect the profession. We need to thank everyone for doing the job that they do. And yeah, the awards are just one vehicle, and we also run the Thank a Teacher campaign, which we'll talk about as well. But it's just really important to highlight the amazing work that you guys do.
Mike, you've worked in a few schools, plenty of schools, however we want to say it. I was just wondering, like we talked about there, just like celebrating what people are doing every day in schools. And I've worked in schools with you where you do this. And I was just wondering how, from your kind of perspective, how much that means to people who are working in schools, just to be kind of given a big thumbs up.
Yeah, it was a really polite way of saying I've been around. I think it's really easy to knock teachers, isn't it? And I think you always hear celebrities or people when they become famous and they say, I know a teacher who told me I'd never do this. But what you don't see is then all the teachers behind that person that's allowed that to happen. It always seems to be that kind of negative press of, oh, I remember a teacher who was bad, who told me I couldn't do this or acted in this way. And I think it's really, really important to, like you said, Mary, to change that narrative, to control that narrative, and to celebrate the hard work that goes on in schools. Because I've never worked in a hospital, I've never worked in a fire station, anything like. I just know how hard people in education work. And yes, they get long holidays, lovely. But what people don't see is how much of that holiday they spend working and the hours they put in during the term time as well. And like you said, Mary, I think it's so important to celebrate the hard work that goes in, because behind every successful person is a very successful school or a successful set of teachers, especially.
Ben, is that something you experienced when you kind of, I say you won the award, your school won the award? Just like the next day, I imagine the buzz in the school the next week just must have been brilliant.
It was, yeah, it was. Yeah, we were on the One show. Yeah, I know, totally tricked as well. Again, full on COVID protocol. So went into the BBC. I was with my assistant head. They had the arches, the temperature arches, when they were checking your temperature going in, and she walked in there and it went beep, beep, beep. It's like, you're kidding me, Sophia, you can't have COVID. What? Anyway, did it again, it was all fine, but the whole of the BBC was empty. They kind of whisked us off to this room. Oh yeah, all of the other people are here, all the other people who've been nominated, they're all in other rooms. And we might cut to you or we might not. All lies. We were the only ones there. And they knew we'd won. And yeah, and then it cuts to you with Alex Jones going, "You're live on the One show, don't swear." Which luckily I didn't. So that was good. But yeah, all the kids are at home, all the families are at home watching that, and then came in the next day with the Gold Award, and yeah, everyone was just absolutely buzzing. It was such a wonderful thing. You just don't expect that sort of thing to happen to your primary school, really. Yeah, that's something those kids will remember for the rest of their lives.
Can I jump in there, Ben? How much did you know about the kind of nomination process? I don't know how you would nominate someone for a teaching award, Mary. So maybe you can help us out here. But Ben, did you know that your school was being nominated, or did you just kind of get information from the teaching award saying you have now been nominated by someone?
Yeah, so one of a member of staff actually was the person who wrote the nomination and put us forward for it, one of our teachers. And yeah, so I kind of they'd mentioned they were doing it. I didn't really think that much about it, to be perfectly honest. It was like I say, I could keep on going on, but we're bang in the middle of COVID, and that was really taking all of my attention. But they did this, they thought it'd be a nice thing, and then yes, then we found out we've been shortlisted, we were having this virtual judging visit. And that's where it all began, really.
And that person's been promoted to a very senior position since, right?
They're my boss now.
Are they your boss?
Mary, we've spoken about kind of celebrating teaching within schools and kind of within our community, but one thing I really like about, and you kind of alluded to this, National Teaching Awards, is kind of putting it beyond teaching and beyond education, the BBC, getting on the One show. And I'm just wondering, like, how important that is to, like, the Teaching Awards Trust to not just be within the education sector, but be shouting outside the education sector.
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's kind of everything really. For me personally, we're a small team, we're a small charity. We work with a board of trustees. We have a fantastic team of judges, of which Ben's one. But we're all just so passionate about that role we have to sort of bridge between, general public and society and people who work outside of education and those inside of education, because you're in an echo chamber to a certain extent in an education community, aren't you, saying this is hard and we've got challenges with all the different things that we have challenges with, but we love our job and it's rewarding, and we just need to get better at telling that story. And there is a retention, we're not going to get too serious, there is a retention recruitment crisis, and I don't think that we can, unfortunately, as much as I'd love to, solve that by having some awards on the TV and having a Thank a Teacher campaign. But it's about creating a deeper understanding of the work that takes place and the impact it has. And I think when you have schools like Ben, and you're showing the kids, so it's really about the impact it has on the children as well, but the impact that the work teachers has on the children. And I think we saw a lot of this. We're sort of talking a lot about lockdown, aren't we, when we need to move on from that, but we saw it a lot as a charity, as a trust during lockdown, because it was a bit like with the NHS. Suddenly everyone realized that we need our public services, and kind of were quite appreciative of them for a while. And then you just sort of go back to like, right, I'll drop the kids at school and get on with my life and my job. And we need to just remind people that don't work in education to thank, value, respect those that do. And also, I think there's a lot of peer sharing that can happen through the awards, sharing best practice, and hopefully the awards are inspirational to people inside the sector as well as those outside. But we've partnered with the BBC since they were set up, as I say, 25 years ago, and it's one of the most important things we do is the work, the media work. So getting the stories in the local press, because that's so what you would be so proud of, that to have your school in the local paper. We've had winners sort of saying, the lady in Tesco said, I saw you on the telly, and like what a sense of pride you have in your job. And that's what we should all, that's so important. So that's really the key for us, is that kind of outward facing, the campaigns are outward facing, and that we can engage with the parental community and just really increase and that improve that relationship between the sector and those in outside of it.
And then everything comes from that. Is like, if you have a teacher who wins an award, like, then the parents can be like, oh, my child goes to a school which has a national award winning teacher, and then they tell people in their community, this community has a schooling. And then just as a group, we start realizing that, like, everything that's going on in schools, there is like 90% of stuff that goes in schools is incredible. Like, it's absolutely amazing. If you go into any school and just walk around, you'll see something amazing. Like, Mike, I know sometimes you just, whatever school you've worked in, you just go for a wander, don't you? and you stop outside the classroom, like, that's brilliant. Like, I can learn from that. And what you're saying, Mary, is just doing that on a massive national scale and just celebrating what we do and what we're passionate about, which is teaching young people.
Yeah, and I think you forget how actually privileged we are to be. I mean, I'm obviously not a teacher, I'm not in schools, but I get to work with loads of amazing educators like Ben and all of our judges. But seeing all of these stories, all of the thank you messages, and I've got a couple I can share with you as well. But you know, it's a privilege to see that, but we want to share that, and because it elevates the profession, and that's really important in our opinion.
Mike, do you think you'll win an award anytime in the next decade, or like not holding out hope?
I've just been amazed again 25 years and I've still not been nominated. It's a surprise to me, Arthur.
A public shout out there from Mike Harrowell, recognition for what
Please, someone nominate me.
Right, well, is this the point where I say you just go onto the Teaching Awards website? We've got 16 award categories. There's team categories, there's whole school categories, there's an impact through partnership category. So yeah, you need to start talking to the people around you, you know. Why
If
get
only I
nominated.
knew another educator who I see regularly, maybe to make a podcast with. Yeah, if only.
Well,
someone who
national...
deeply respects you.
Who loves awards as well, clearly. So
yeah, maybe we'll just have
all the ingredients are there.
Yeah, we just need podcast of the year, Mike, and we can enter that. But like we get nowhere near it, but we could enter it and then say we have been entered. I'll nominate you for best podcast host. You nominate me, and then we've got double nomination, double the chance. I feel like this is a nice chance. So Mike's not going to win an award this year, for various reasons, Mary, but he could get a thank you from someone for Thank a Teacher Day. So do you want to talk to us a little bit about Thank a Teacher Day?
Yeah, sure. So Thank a Teacher Day is on the 19th of June this year. And a thank you is a nomination for an award. So you definitely should know someone, Mike, who can send you a thank you card. I mean, it could, I don't know if it could be your wife or not, but
she's a teacher. It works.
Exactly. No, I was just thinking, I don't know if she wants to thank you, given she's got a 3-week-old baby, but sorry. But yeah, so the Thank a Teacher Day happens on the 19th of June, and the Thank a Teacher campaign is open all year round. Anyone can go onto our website, thankateacher.co.uk, and send a free digital e-card to anyone who works in education. So it's a really great mechanism for, opening up the sort of dialogue between parents, grandparents, carers, anyone who wants to sort of show their appreciation for anyone who works in a school or early years or college. And you just need to go onto the website thankateacher.co.uk to find out more information. But we'll be sharing lots of updates a month out. We get lots of celebrities involved because, as you were saying, Mike, there are celebrities who sort of say, oh, this teacher didn't believe in me, but there are a load of celebrities who do really want to say thank you to their teachers. And as we know, that works really well for sort of raising awareness. So last year we had Will Poulter. It was just after Guardians of the Galaxy had been released, and he went into a school to surprise his sister, who's a teacher. And we've sort of had Joe Wicks, Jamie Oliver, Michael Morpurgo's our president. He's president of the Teaching Awards. So we get loads of celebrities involved to help raise awareness. It's a real sort of grassroots campaign, and the aim is again to get teachers in the national conversation, to get everyone talking about who is your favorite teacher, because it's about the impact that educators have that we want to get people talking about.
And I think it's been like over 70,000 thank you cards have been sent. And on the website, there's a lovely heat map, Mike, where you can go to your area and it'll tell you in your area of the country, like which school has the most thank yous and stuff like that. You can get really competitive. No, that's not the point. Yeah, it's just Mike Harrowell at the top. Ben, something like Thank a Teacher, is that something you see with the teachers you work with in your school or across different schools, of just sometimes these little things, just like having a thank you, like makes such a difference, doesn't it?
It really does. You know, you're both teachers, or you've been teachers. You know, you know what that's like. You know the difference that that makes. And it is just those little things. It's the little, you know, handmade card at the end of the year with that child who's written a message in it to say thank you. I bumped into a kid actually yesterday. As I say, we're a primary school. I was walking down East Ham High Road, and this quite tall, rangy lad goes, "Hello, Mr. Levinson." Oh, okay, who's that? Yes, this kid who used to go to our school. He's in year 10 now. And he was reminiscing about being at the school and how much he'd enjoyed it. And it's those things that make it all worthwhile. So I think, you know, we've had lots of teachers thanked through Thank a Teacher. Some are very simple messages, you know, just thank you so much for everything you've done. Some people who write quite a lot, and all of it makes that difference, and all of it is such an important part of kind of giving you that energy and that enthusiasm for realizing the difference that you're making.
Yeah, because as we've said, like as Mike said really nicely, like teaching is really hard, but it's incredibly rewarding. And sometimes all you need is someone to just go at the end of the day, like, that was awesome. Or you get this little thank you note from a student, or like you can build all the way up to being recognized by like your peers and the judging panel, including past winners, being like, what you're doing is absolutely brilliant. And I just think that's something we're trying to do on Tea and Teaching, Mike, isn't it? Is just kind of talk about people who are doing awesome stuff in education. And it's so nice to have a kind of an organization that kind of does that in a really nice kind of fancy award ceremony way. Like, it's not, those award ceremonies are lovely, Mary, I imagine, having not been to one like Mike, but I'm sure you and Ben had a lovely time.
There's definitely some hinting going on here, isn't there, Ben? We'll have to. Yeah, I mean, I think the award ceremony is fantastic. It's really glamorous, and it's also important to give teachers the opportunity to get dressed up. And you know, the award winners are put up for the night in a hotel, and they get the you know, the dinner, and it's a really lovely occasion to celebrate as a community. But Thank a Teacher Day as well. What's really great is it happens in the school and in the college, so it's about, you know, engaging with your pupils, and loads of schools and multi-academy trust do big celebrations, and they kind of make cakes and they have banners up. So I think it's what both campaigns do, as you say, is celebrate, and they give the sector an opportunity to celebrate, and there's opportunities for those that are fortunate enough to get to the ceremony to get dressed up, and as Ben did, put on a gold suit. Come on, Ben, I had to mention the gold suit. But also, you know, it's just about someone, because it's Thank a Teacher Day, it's a pupil making cakes for you to give to your teacher, and the parent remembering, because they're just reminded that that's a day to do it. I mean, they should be doing it all the time, but to say you've made such a difference and that's just as you know, rewarding as wearing a gold suit and drinking champagne, I guess. Ben, you tell me.
I just assume Ben wears a gold suit every day to work, because like, yep, I earn this. I earn this. Mary, kind of what's the plan going forward for the National Teachers Award? How do you want to kind of keep growing and kind of shouting about the awesome work that you're doing as a charity?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, there's still just a lot of engagement that we would like, in terms of more people getting involved with Thank a Teacher Day and the awards, because whilst we do have, so last year we had 72,000 cards sent on the day, but obviously we want to beat that, and we want to we're working with we've just got a media partnership. We've agreed with the Sunday Times, and we have the relationship with the BBC. We work with BBC Bite Size and Children's. Like, we really want to keep improving the comms and the way in which we're sharing messages and getting more out there. We want to work with sort of more celebrities. So if there's any celebrities listening that loved their teachers, yes, do get in touch. But yeah, it's really about increasing the scale and engagement, and ultimately the impact of that and this is the bit where I sort of grapple with my board of trustees, because it's really hard to sort of prove, but we want the morale of the profession to be as high as it can be, and we want, ideally, more people to want to go into teaching and more people to want to stay in teaching, and we want to play our part in doing that by raising more awareness, being more celebratory and positive.
I think that's a really nice note of just kind of, we know there's a teacher shortage, retention crisis, however we kind of want to word it, and there's not one fix that's going to solve that overnight, but all these things added up can make a difference, including recognition for the sector and for the people who are doing it. And even if you're not being nominated for award, it's lovely to open the paper, isn't it, on a Sunday and see a teacher being like, look at this teacher doing awesome things. I know I've read articles in the past with some of the past winners from a maths perspective, which is kind of my background, and being like, oh, I'm now going to go and check them out, and I've learned something that I've then used in my lesson the following week. And that doesn't happen without them getting an award and being in the paper and me reading that. So like, there is that knock-on effect. It's not just people wearing gold suits and being on the One show, Ben. I thought Mary was going to call you a celebrity, Ben. It sounds like you've been on TV more than most.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is such an important part. We keep coming back to that same point, right? But you think about what people's perception is of education outside of education looking in. Sometimes talk to my friends about this who aren't in education. It's not great, right? There's not a lot of positive headlines out there for those people who aren't in the sector, and certainly people who don't have children going to school. All they're seeing is about all of the issues, all of the challenges, all of the negative headlines that there have been. And actually, as you know, magical stuff happens in schools.
Yeah, like every day there's awesome stuff happening in schools.
There's just no. Oh,
I'm just going to jump in there, Ben, because we just lost.
That's all right. Sorry about that.
That's all right. But we're just talking about how there is awesome stuff happening in schools. Like my son went to school for the first time this year obviously in a primary school, at primary school, and like little things are happening every day that just make his day, make his week, and that's because of the absolute awesome teachers, in his school, which is just lovely to see. And like, yeah, just like celebrate what we do, celebrate what teachers do. Because if everyone took a moment to just, if you're working in school and you just take a moment to think of someone in your school who's doing something awesome, we can all think of someone straight away. I'm sure Mike has got people he works with every single day who he knows are doing awesome things. And like, we need to celebrate that. So, Mary, we're coming up to kind of thank a teacher day. Can we, like, what do people, if someone's listening to this, a parent or a teacher or anything, just like, yeah, I know what I want to do. What do they do? Where do they go?
So they need to go onto the Thank a Teacher website, thankateacher.co.uk. They can register their interest, and we will email all the details about activities and resources that we have available. And yeah, just everything's on the website, thankateacher.co.uk. It's on the 19th of June. We really encourage everyone to just participate in any way they can, but they can send a card in advance of that day, but it's about creating a moment, having a national conversation. So our work is around, trying to get sort of media and celebrities, but in schools and colleges and early years, we just want people to celebrate, get their students to say thank you, and just generally celebrate their colleagues.
And in terms of the big awards evening, when the big awards nights in 2024?
So that's the other thing I didn't say. So the silver winners are announced on Thank a Teacher Day as well.
Awesome.
So that's kind of, we wrap it all up. So we have silver winners from all 16 categories are announced on the 19th of June. And so there's celebrations taking place. So that's some great regional news stories, local press. We get sort of local TV and radio going into the schools. And so on that day, we also ask everyone to celebrate and say thank you to teachers. So that's silver winners on the 19th of June. And then the gold winners are announced on the one show from sort of, I think it's like the 24th of November, that all that week. We have a week-long celebration of education on the one show, which is fantastic. And then we have the UK ceremony on the 30th of November. So yeah, and all around then there'll be sort of stories, as you say, hopefully inspirational stories, and we do hope that people get involved in whatever way they can and take inspiration from the awards, and hopefully enter you too, you know, at some point.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I will be nominating Mike Harrowell for every single award that there could possibly be. We'll put all the details for how you can do this in the episode notes. So listeners, if you want to go and check this stuff out, just check out the episode notes and all the links will be there. Mary and Ben, it's been absolutely brilliant having you on Tea and Teaching. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you for, Ben, thank you for everything you do as a head teacher, because your job is hard. So thank you for doing that to an award-winning standard. And Mary, thank you so much for what you're doing for just the teacher, kind of the whole sector in general, because it's just nice to have people shouting about how good teachers are.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Pleasure. Listeners, we'll be back in a moment.
Welcome back to Tea and Teaching. Arthur, no teacher gets involved in this sector of work for the recognition, but it's lovely to have the recognition. And it was lovely to speak to Mary and Ben tonight about what they're doing to raise the profile of teachers across the UK.
Now, as you said, no one teaches for the pat on the back, but the pat on the back is always lovely. And then I just encourage people who have listened to this, get involved with Thank a Teach Day, whether it's talking to your school or your colleagues, but also talk as parents. You can talk to other parents, get involved, and definitely check out all the stuff that's going on with the National Teacher Award, because kind of, as I mentioned in the pod, like, you learn so much from these people because they're outstanding at what they do. And it's just so nice to kind of amplify the awesome work that is going on in our sector, because, like, as you said, Mike, it's hard, but there's such good stuff going on in every classroom, in every school. So, like, it's just nice to celebrate teaching. And that's our takeaway, Mike, isn't it? We don't need a takeaway. Our takeaway is thank you, teachers. You're awesome. And get involved in Thank a Teacher Day, really.
Yeah. So thank you to the teachers. Thank you to Mary and Ben. And thank you to you for listening.